Why not? Why can't I talk about this? This ought to get some attention. So I thought I'd weigh in. People have asked me, are you gay? Are you trans? And the answer is no to all of the above. So what am I? I'm me. And boy, this coloration is acting strange here. Let's see if we can straighten it out. There, that's a little better. I think it's interesting when you look at transgender, and I'm going to talk about things because all these corporations are pushing this. First of all, I don't agree with that. I think that pushing stuff on children in the public schools, in the public forum, allowing children under the age of 18 to get transgender surgery is not okay. Let me make it clear that children are confused today. They're being raised in a predominant feminist society, and that is messing up boys. You're not going to meet too many people like me. You're not going to meet too many people like me that manage to get everybody offended. I'm a conservative Christian. How do you think this flies with them? It doesn't. I tend to vote Republican. Is this the image of a conservative? No. Some people, boxes are fun. Boxes are great for packing stuff in, putting them in them, for transporting and moving stuff around. But our society, our world, and especially American culture likes to put everything in a nice, neat little box. You remember years ago, Taco Bell came out with a commercial that said, think outside the bun. Everything's McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. And Taco Bell didn't do burgers. What I'm about to talk about is going to shatter the boxable norms. Americans are in a weird state of flux today. They're in a very weird state of flux. We got one group over here who believes in fluid sexuality and 87,000 genders and pronouns or not pronouns and binary and non-binary. And I run into those all the time. Had a lady say, how long have you been trans? I said, I haven't even been one. Really? I said, how come a guy can't be male and sensual? Now, I understand that if I was to pull this off in the 1950s, America would have tar and feathered and probably tore me up. I admit maybe I am a product of our generation. Maybe the fact that feminists have been so rude and I've been abused by a woman, maybe I've been screwed up in the head. Very good possibility. Or maybe when I go to the average workplace today and I see women that are big and huge, and they got more hair under their arms than some men have on their head. And you go, wow. I look in the mirror. I'm 3 years away from 60, and I go, my gosh, I look better than most of the women I work with. I smell better. I have less hair. I don't care if men or women are attracted to me. What I don't like is pushing obnoxious people. I don't like people to hate me for just being who I am. I don't like it in a church. I don't like it among liberals. or conservatives. Now, what I'm about to talk about is not embraced by the evangelical community in the US. I take a totally different approach than, say, the church does. And I'll tell you why I do that. Because I've tried all my life to live inside that little box. Everybody tries to live in a box. Oh, you a classic car guy? Well, yeah, I am. But do I live in the classic car box? No. Women, LL Bean, Land's End, the North Face cult, the SUV, the Starbucks, the dog cult. I walk contrary to just about everything around me, and you know what's happened? There's some unpleasant and pleasant surprises that have happened when you dare to be different. Why can't a man wear his shirt off his shoulder? Why not? Now, I admit, seeing British men in dresses and tights and stuff, I'm like, that don't look right. My opinion. But when I go to the club, when I go place and I look at men that are trying to be trans, I'm just going, my gosh, you're gross. You didn't shave the hair off your chest. You're wearing a bra. And I can naturally be who I am with a normal manly voice, work on my house, and I can be, and I am a man. But Americans want you to fit in a box. What about that? How do you think that would fly in modern day conservative and Christian circles? I'm not even wearing a bra. I took this shirt, rolled it up, and did something. Sometimes I take photos of myself just for kicks. Sometimes I just go outside in the dark of dawn. Sometimes I just experiment. Have you ever looked at androgynous males? Some of them are beautiful. Why can't a man be himself? Get on Facebook and look at what's happening in Thailand and the Philippines. You got women doing that. And you got hundreds of men, thumbs up, heart, call me, message me. Why do women get to do that? And the women are narcissists. They're narcissists as all get out. I'm in a weird spot because we're in a generation right now. We're in a country that is shifting. I'm not transgender. This is a woman's shirt. I cut the neck out of it and I wear it my way. Wear a dress? Wear panties and a bra? No. Would I wear a spaghetti strap, silk top that's real tight? I dated an Asian woman years ago who had one, and when she went to the bathroom, I slipped it on for a joke. She comes, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you look better than that than I do," and I did. I looked in the mirror, I'm like, this actually feels sexy. Now, I know the Bible talks about men trying to be effeminate and all that stuff. But let me offer something. How many of you feel comfortable around Christians that always got their bony finger out saying, "Oh, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right." How many of you like that? I tried to play the game. I was married 14 years. I tried to be faithful in my mind. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand her. This wasn't even on my radar then. I thought I was as normal as they come. Buy stuff at garage sales, refinish antiques, raise my boy, go to work, wear a shirt that looks like a man's shirt. Did that get me anywhere? Did it get me lots of friends? No. Had to learn the hard way about work and church. You hang out with people, you want to be part of something, and they don't let you be part of it. I learned that about management pretty much anywhere. Management is a different mentality. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or non Christian, people who get into management are not the same as the worker ants. They've got a matrix from which they operate from that will shred you. They will kiss butt. They'll be politically correct. You go and, like a dummy, divulge your struggle with the company with them, and they go, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. Don't do that. You don't know if they're telling management what you said. It doesn't matter what side of the fence I'm on. I mean, it does matter. But what I'm saying to you, the viewers, it doesn't matter what I do. I will be judged no matter what. You remember when Andrew Drescher took a picture of me and photoshopped it to a guy with his legs open, said, come on, everybody, it's okay to be gay. I need to give no further commentary on the guy. It doesn't warrant my wasted breath on a foolish man. He was a true definition of a troll. And as somebody aptly said, he looked at me, probably had some feelings of lust, didn't like my stance that I said that homosexuality is wrong in the eyes of God. But people don't listen to the heart of what I say. I said it's wrong, but some struggle with it. I'm not into men, but it depends on the mood. It depends on how long I've been alone. It depends on how nice the man is. If I see a man who's shaved under here and a nice smooth chest with nice areolas and a nipple, yeah, that can be arousing. But can a man give me what a woman can? No. It's funny to watch women wear stuff like this, tease and slut tease all over the internet. And then they see me doing this. Are you gay? Are you bakla, the Philippine Tagalog term for gay? No, I'm not. And I do what I do to push the envelope and to show people something, but they don't get it. You say I'm gay because I'm dressing like you, and you've got how many followers? And you're not going to go out with any of them? You're not going to have sex or make love with any of them? You want all this attention. Is it wrong for me to want to tap into some of that? Is it wrong for me to put myself out there and see how people react? Why is it okay for a woman? Why is it okay for a woman to get child support and alimony and half or more of a man's goods while men get kicked in the balls? Why is it a young high school girl or college student in the town that was valedictorian on the cheerleader and everybody likes, and don't kid yourself, those adult men in town will never say it, but they're lusting after her too. And when she gets brutally murdered, the whole town is like, this is terrible. But let the school nerd drop into the river and commit suicide. And it's a little item at the bottom of the newspaper, and the town goes on. That's what I'm here to talk about. I don't expect everybody to give me a parade and welcome me. That's not what this is about. But when I tried to be more masculine and do the right thing and you don't wear shirts like this, did it get me anywhere? I'm not comfortable around most men. Most men in this culture, they're rude. And yet, people underestimate touch, affirmation, approval. I don't support Joyce Meyer, but she wrote a book called Approval Addiction. I did not read it. I'm not going to. But some people have a problem with approval addiction. I've suffered from it. But I think women, they have a problem, but men don't see it. The women don't see it. And society accepts it. But they'll be quick to fire their gun of hate at me saying, "You're a grown man. Why are you dressing like that? You're a grown man. Why are you looking and why are you getting on my case about it? Keep it moving." Sometimes I do something because I like it. I won't always do this. When I'm 70 years old, I won't. But I'm not going to stand there with old man slacks on and suspenders with BO and staring out my front door. Things change as I get older. But can't I rock it in my own way now? Because I'm going to prove something. When I go in as an American male, women don't tell me I'm good looking. Not in this culture. When I go in like this, I see eyes. I see men and women looking. Men with their good looking girlfriend in a nightclub turning around, staring. And when I start moving to the beat of the music, they start moving, and I'm like, they're attracted. There's something powerful about that, especially when you've been rejected, ridiculed. No, I don't want to take off my pants and have him take off his and rub peepees together. That's not there. But you know what? We live in a society like we live in. When you don't get the affirmation you need from the people that should be giving it to you, sometimes other things will suffice. Now, I'm not a traditionalist. I blow things out of the water and say it like it is. I don't expect you to agree with me. I expect you to have understanding. I expect you to allow me to be me. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not telling kids that they need to explore their sexuality and get a gender change. No, I'm not the one doing that. I'm like Pink Floyd. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone. But I'm a grown adult. I remember when I was walking around shirtless around Crown Hill, Lake, Pond, or whatever you want to call it, in Lakewood / Wheat Ridge, Colorado. And a little girl's being holding mommy's hand as they're walking towards me. And I heard a girl say, "Mommy, why is that man naked?" I wasn't naked. I had shorts on. It was a nice Colorado day. I thought, what happened in the 70s? Guys used to walk in a public park with no shirts. Nobody said a thing. Now you got men and women saying, you need to put a shirt on. I'm in a public park. I'm outdoors. No, I don't. There's no sign that says no shoes, no shirt, no parking. But isn't it interesting? Women can wear a little micro bikini and nobody says a word. That's what I'm here to shatter. Why can a woman sport sexy, but I cannot? I've done enough tests and experiments. I used to go to the steam bath in Denver. That was an eye opener. Men, different ethnicities, some of them looking like a cut off of Baywatch, the muscles, the ripped, sitting in a steam room, we're naked, and they're looking at me going, my gosh, you're good looking. I liked it. I said, you think I'm good looking? You can get any girl you want. When did you have an interest in guys? He says, I think women are good looking, but he says they're a mess. Guys really are less complicated than women. The best massages I've gotten in America have been by men. Of course, they had gay designs and they enjoyed the fact I let them touch me, but I was getting something from it. And yes, Christians will condemn that. But you go to church today and what do you get? All the guilt, all the condemnation because you can't live up to God's holy standard. That's really productive, isn't it? The Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. But I was in a couple of marriages and those didn't go well. I don't support transgender. Getting your penis removed, getting a sex change. My personal opinion, there's something wrong up here. I do think it's weird for a grown man with hair all over his chest to come into a nightclub with a bra on and a skirt. You're going to do that. You look like an ugly dude and you don't. Okay, that's weird. And sometimes I do what I do because I'm clean and smooth. And sometimes I just like to push it. And I like to watch people's reaction. No, I don't walk into the club like I just displayed myself. But you look at a lot of women in our society, plain Janes, overweight, women that are not attractive, and they think they are the bomb. Women will laugh at me. Oh my God. But I put myself in the mirror against them and me with no clothes, and I would stand head and shoulders above them in looks. Now, many of you'd say, well, I don't agree with that. Of course, you're not attracted to men. That's great. But if you're attracted to that chick over there, I question your attraction factor, whether it's working properly. I would love to have a woman that could make me shirts like the toga style, where I could put it on naturally and like this. I end up having it off the shoulder all the time anyway. I do it. I typically do that. I love to see people stare. I like to see the reaction. The macho guy going into Home Depot with his mousy little, I'm not blonde, but I have brown hair and I dyed it that frosty white hair. And you can see the dark eyebrows and the ugly hair and the roots. And it's pulled up in a messy bun. And they're looking at me with the beady little glare stare. And I'm like, isn't that fun? I'm better looking than she is as a guy. And she's glaring at me like, what the fuck is that? And if you notice, I'm not some little weird G-A-Y guy that talks in this low voice and wears little tight pantaloons with 2-inch little balls and a dick. And that's gross. People make observations and they make statements about me and they want to put you in that box and they can't. Oh, they think that they can. Oh, I'm fully man. I can bow my back up. I can stand up and say, fuck you. Get the hell away from me. But I have a feminine side. By feminine, I don't mean talking in a fruity little voice, wearing panties. No, I don't sniff panties. I don't do those weirdo things that people do. I think it's interesting if you go back in Greek and Roman culture, this was normal male dressing. Nobody said a word about it then. But if I do this today, people will be like, are you a fag? You better ask all the Romans and the Greeks that. Me personally, I think it's more macho and more manly. You got some muscle showing, somewhat tantalizing, but yet masculine. Now, I've listened to Andrew Tate. I like a lot of what he says, but I don't go so far as to believe in his radical, toxic masculinity. And I can be toxic. I can be blunt and cutting and harsh as hell. I can make a woman cry. Give me time. And I'm not talking sexually. But how about just being masculine? I find it interesting that those toxic masculine males, whether it's a cowboy, a trucker, or the guy that thinks he's, God on steroids, you think I haven't noticed them looking? You think I haven't watched out of the corner of my eye and said, that guy walk in here, he's 6'4", he's with a beautiful girl, and he's sitting over there looking at me. And I'm like, why is he staring? Is he friend or foe? And then when I start moving to the music, you'll see him without his girlfriend singing, he go like this. It's really sad that men in our society cannot be honest with who they are. It doesn't mean you're gay because you're attracted to something you see. It just means you're attracted. And our church culture is one of the most neurotic things that you can be involved in. Church is good, but it can also be dangerous. They want to condemn men with lust. Can't masturbate, can't look at porn. Okay, church, what are our choices? How about the manifold friends that I have that have retired, they're successful, they keep their bodies good looking? You think I don't feel compassion for them when they tell me men are not interested in me or women are not interested in me? Why not? Do they smell? Are they creepy? No. So why can't I be sensual? Why can't I go out in public and be just like this? It's becoming more freeing. I went to Sam's Club yesterday to pick up things. And I love watching, doesn't matter what color, what ethnicity, but I like watching people look. As I walk through the store holding the cart and my shoulders exposed, I got my big chain on and this, and they're looking at me, and you can just feel like they're going, what the hell? They're with their wife. They're with their kids. They're with their buddy. I'm going to say something. I see most Americans as being in chains. I don't care if a man thinks I'm hot. I think it's awesome. I look at the human body as art. Some art I don't like to look at. Some art I do. I like women that are comfortable with themselves. When they come into the nightclub and they sit by me and give me a hug and they do this in front of me and they go, you're looking beautiful, Pacific. And I say, and you are walking art. And they'll stretch and let me look at them. I love women like that. I don't ask them out, but we can enjoy and admire each other like a piece of art and keep our hands off of it. I like a man who's smooth and good looking and is kind and not overly macho. I like it when a man can come up to me and say, good to see you, you're looking good tonight. He's not standing there with a heart on going, this is the problem in society. Americans love to put everything in a box. They love to put everything in the back of a U-Haul. I don't go in the back of the U-Haul and I don't go in a box. I'll break out of it. And if I can, I'll make a whole lot of noise and let everybody know there's somebody trapped in here. I think it's funny. We got it all in our society. Be yourself, be you. How many people really do that? Oh, do you like Starbucks, dogs, and SUVs? Land's End, LL Bean? Are you Democrat or Republican? Are you gay or straight? Are you transgender? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you... Ah! How about if I'm none of the above? I like the smell of coffee, but I don't drink it. I like the bags when I used to buy for the lady I caretook property for in Colorado. When she started having problems, she didn't go to the store and had me do her shopping for her. If you want a lesson in humility, get a to-do list from an 87-year-old woman to send you to the store to buy things that you and the store people have never heard of. I said, sir, she tells me it's in this aisle. He'll call the manager. Manager's like, I never even heard of that. And then another store person says, I just saw that the other day. It's right over here. Man, I didn't even know they had that anymore. I said, neither did I. But she's 87 years old and from the archives. I don't like shopping like women do. Women like to go up and down and stare at every can and read every ingredient. I'm like, $1.30, soup, boom, boom, throw it in the cart, grab your crap and go. I'm totally male. But women, they love to put everything in a box. So if I can't get the approval of women, why can't I just be me? I don't have to be attracted to a man to feel good that somebody looks at me and says, wow, I like his way. I have a bit of that woman in me, like all these women on Facebook. I like likes. What's wrong with that? Does it mean I'm a sissy? I see sissies. They talk like a girl. They wear... Me, I wear it different. I'm not a sissy. I'm not wearing bras and panties and putting little bows in my hair. No. I'm more of an odd, macho, feminine, androgynous kind of a guy. I love looking at androgynous photos of men in Europe. They're shaved. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And in my own flawed state, if I had an opportunity to lay in bed next to one of them and wrap my arms around them, yeah. Anal sex? Sucking them off? No. And why do I share this stuff? Because there's a lot of people that struggle and they have nowhere to go with this. I don't care if a man thinks I'm hot. You want to act creepy? I don't like that. You want to act like a sissy and act all weird around me? Man, knock it off. Go ahead and look. But can you be mature about it? You know, when you have a troll putting legs on my face with them open, come on in, everybody. That guy's got issues. I don't look at men and go, very seldom do I feel that sexual, sensual, and most of the time it's a touch. When I used to go to the steam bath in Colorado, you sit there in a steam room, you're naked, you're with other men. And it's sad. That's the only place I've ever been to in my life where nobody is judging you. There's all kinds of men, balding, pot-gutted fat with 2-inch little smoky, and then the slender, wiry guys with a 12-inch baseball bat between their legs. I always thought it was interesting. The big guys don't necessarily have the biggest equipment. But when men told me I would sprawl out on the bench in the steam room, I loved the heat, and I loved how freeing it was to be naked with other guys. It was very Corinthian. Oh, I just said that as a Christian. And there was a man, he would come by and he'd do this. He'd touch me, and I loved it. You know, expression isn't always two guys jacking each other off and all that. Sometimes it's just being art, letting somebody be tactile. Let them explore that. That feels good. Do I want to run away and fall in love with a guy? No. Touch is underrated in our society. Have we ever analyzed Jeffrey Dahmer and these people? People do. They put him in a box. That guy was fucking weird. How did he get there? I'm not justifying these guys. They had something wrong. But you got them in your neighborhood. You got them everywhere. There's that guy or gal that lives down the street. Oh, that person's weird. Why did they become that way? Before everybody thinks we're the land of the free and the home of the brave, let me tell you something. We are the most judgmental, most condemning, most boxable culture out there. I could go to Asia tomorrow and sit in karaoke and I'd have guys and girls hitting on me as I am. In America, it's much more reserved. I don't have women coming up and bumping and grinding with me. I have guys that you see them, they're scared little rabbits. Macho men standing there with their little high maintenance girlfriend buying her drink after drink. And suddenly they're spun around on the bar stool and they're not looking at her who's sitting there going like this. And they're looking at me. I'm against the wall looking at the dance stage. And I don't stare, but I make a mental note. Why is he looking at me? And I feel that insecurity because why are they looking at me? Then you'll see them in their own way send a message that I like the way you are. Is that wrong? The Christians will be quick to quote all the scripture and say, well, you know what? As a Christian, we have free will. I don't submit to that doctrine called Calvinism. And for those of you that are not Christians, let me explain that to you. Calvinism is the belief, I don't should pretend these sandals, flip-flops are two different people. Okay. God chooses to pour his grace on this one so that they will come to saving faith and belief. God does not give grace to this person. God rejects that. That is a belief in the church. It's called Calvinism. John Calvin was called the Protestant Pope back in the Reformation era in old Europe. He had people killed that dissented or disagreed with him. But he believed everything was predestined. And if you follow this crap to its logical conclusion, you'll read some extreme Calvinists that are alive today. You can always tell a false doctrine when you go to a church or you get around a group of people that they only fixate on one thing. All of us are guilty of that to a degree. Some people are only about cars. Some people are only about women. Some people are all about drinking. You know, we all get lopsided. But when it comes to a church, they emphasize you got to speak in tongues. You can lose your salvation. You got to read only the King James Bible only, or Calvinism. The Bible says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son that whosoever believeth in him. Why would God say whosoever? Why would God elsewhere in the scripture say it is not his will that any should perish? Oh, but wait, he chose to reject that one and he chose to favor this. That's favoritism. That makes God out to be capricious, evil. No, it's a mystery. God is sovereign, and yet we have free will. I have a relationship with God. And I've often asked in my dumb, naive state, God, why didn't you just take away my sex drive? Why didn't you just make me holy? And now I know the answer. What kind of a relationship is that going to be where I have free will and God just takes my will away and takes this away and makes me to be an automaton or a robot for him? Yes, God wants us to put away this and that. Yes, God wants us to be morally upright and believe the right stuff. But what about the us? You can sit under Christians far and wide, all different stripes and colors, and you'll run into this thing. Well, you got to crucify the flesh. You got to, do we? Somebody may not have sexual expression like I do, but they love their materialism and they will never depart and deviate from it. How about women in the church today with their snickerty, snarky attitudes? That doesn't sound like they've been set free by God. So I don't care what a bunch of narcissistic, high maintenance, immature Caucasian women or American women think about me. I really don't care. I don't think highly of them either. So hey, we're tracking the same way at least. A man to me is one who looks at himself and realizes he's a man. And he gets up and goes to work and he faces the day and faces fears. And I'm not talking about toxic masculinity, but he does what a man does: face it and deal. We're raising a generation of sissies and wussies. And I explain that as being the result of domineering feminism in the classroom. More women teach than men. More women refuse to accept the fact that men and women are not the same. Women have bragged for decades now, we can do it better. No, you can't. You fuck it up, even worse. Look at the debris trail and wreckage that women are leaving in society. You think all of that doesn't have an environmental effect on me? If you rub a dog and pet it, the dog will eventually start dry humping your leg. When you have a society that's not validating us, a friend of mine wrote me this morning. He's on a trip up in northeast part of the country. Said, it bothers me, Pacific. I'm on a trip, I got a hotel room, and I'm all alone. You think I could have a woman with me that I can make love to, enjoy the trip together? No. I feel for him because, boy, that's a lot of males' pain. So what is left for us? A monastic lifestyle where we can try to be a hermitic monk and hide away up at the top of a hill and say, well, I'm just going to focus on God. How long does that last? God didn't make us automated robots. He gave us free will. And the church approaches things like a formula, like a pharmacy. Let's see. We'll put a little bit of this in there and we'll mix it up and I'll write a book and this is how you attack this problem. That's not it. That's not it. It doesn't work for everybody. One size does not fit all. Some people, no matter how much doctrine and Christian seminars and Bible conferences are thrown at them, are never going to change because here is the catch, folks. This right here. What is deeply within me is going to bubble out. You want to know what's inside of a person? Bump the glass and see what spills out. Do I have a problem with temper? Damn straight. Am I guilty of loving money? I didn't think that I was, but I catch myself saying, if I had this much, I would do this. So maybe there is a degree of that within me because money represents financial freedom and gives me more access to choices. But God in his sovereignty says, and that's why you don't get it, because I don't want you running over here. Is God condemning me because I feel sensual? I mean, there's a verse that says that's earthly, sensual, of the devil. I don't know the answer to that. But there's a song we used to sing in church. Change my heart, O God. Make it ever new. Change my heart, O God. May I be like you. I don't care. There isn't a Christian out there that's like Jesus on this American soil. A lot of people think that they are. I don't support transgender, and I love to get around them in the club. I look better than all of them, naturally. And I didn't change any body parts. I don't talk like this. Most of them are mentally disturbed people. I have my problems, but I'm not mentally disturbed. I know what's right and I know what's wrong. The rub comes in when I'm into what I'm doing and people want to tell me it's wrong. But isn't that true of all of us? Somebody comes up and tells you they don't agree with you and don't like you, you get annoyed. God has to do his work. I tried to please man too much. And all of you listening to me are guilty of that. You won't do something because you fear what other people think. You don't really care what God thinks. Because when your door's shut, you're going to do it. Why do we live our lives more concerned with what men do and say to us than God who sees it all anyway? Why are we like that? God knows what's in my heart. So go ahead. Make it look right, okay? But God sees it. So why? Why do we do this? That's a damn good question. Why not just be who you are? Well, yeah, if you're a pyro and a pedophile, you might want to not do that. But this isn't hurting a damn person. Now, would I walk into a church on Sunday morning like this? No. But it's interesting. That same leadership in a church, a woman will come in with this. The pastor doesn't say anything condemnatory about that, does he? He's up there, she's down there. Maybe he likes the view. I know I would. Wrong is wrong, folks. It's wrong. So why do we do this crap? Why? The Bible says we're supposed to do something from the heart. It is in my heart to grow my hair long. It is in my heart to express myself. Does that run counter to God's ways? It could. But how about if we let God deal with that in his way? It's so funny that styles, disco, certain music comes back into vogue. But people see this and they condemn it. I said, man, 2,000 years ago, scholars, Socrates, the greats, Plato, they were wearing this kind of deal. Not one woman or man looked at him and said, are you a fag? So why did they do it today? Well, Michael, when in Rome, do as Romans do. Fuck that. Sometimes Rome is wrong. Do we need to copy them? Or do you be an individual? I sat in a church in Duluth, Minnesota, and there was a guy named Earl. I think I could safely say he's dead now. He was pretty old then. And for whatever reason, I landed in the only Sunday school class, which was oldsters adults. A lot of them were nice. Ladies that dressed in their Sunday best, and men that there was a man, his head was bald, but he really had joy on his face, and he'd sit down and make that upright piano come alive. I'm a young guy embodying all that you see. And I can sit there in a room and respect a man who makes that piano come alive. There's within my heart a melody. I mean, I'm sorry, most of you my age don't appreciate that. You're not into that. I get that. But different things float different boats. But there was a man in there named Earl, cantankerous, miserable. I remember on a cold Duluth day, he walks in the back door and he had a big old runny, clear booger between the nostrils. He said, "Good morning, Earl." And I'm being nice to him. I don't particularly care for the guy. He says, "It's really bitter cold." I said, "It is." Because I still believe in respecting elders. But when I was in class, he would say outlandish things. And I'm going to imitate, to the best of my accurate ability and remembrance of this. The teacher was talking about things, and Earl said, "I remember one time I was in my living room and my curtains were open. And I looked out my window, and across the street, my neighbors were sitting in their living room playing cards." Now I was in my 20s then, and I'm just kind of going, did I really just hear what I heard? Now I'm not going to be obnoxious in there. I'm young. Don't make yourself look young and stupid. Just observe. And I made a comment after class to one of the old ladies. I said, what is with this guy? That woman was a little more matured and hardened appropriately. And "Oh, Earl, that guy, he's out there." I said, "But he's so uptight." She goes, "Yeah, he lives alone. He's miserable. What can I say?" Now, that woman didn't say it, but sometimes you can't help but think maybe he didn't get some. Sometimes people equate holiness with that kind of behavior. I don't know. I picture Jesus when he walked along the Sea of the Galilee. "Come, I will make you fishers of men." I don't picture him looking like Earl. I picture that when Jesus spoke and he walked with the wind in his hair, that there was something about that made you say, "I don't know who this guy is, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going." And we got a lot of Christians that make Christianity as unappealing as possible. They want it to be a cardboard box. Go in it, shut the lid, and join all these unhappy, miserable people. "Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Oh, good. Check, check, check. Yep. You believe in pre-tribulational rapture. You believe once saved, always a bit. Check, check, check." Okay, after we've all agreed here, now what do we got? Do we have passion? Do we have care? Do we have love? Do we have intimacy? No wonder sexuality is blown in our face. No wonder America leads the way in transgender and weirdness. We're not connecting anymore. And people will judge the outward shell of myself. Go, "What's with that?" And I want to say, what does it fucking matter to you? You're going to get in your SUV, go to your $800,000 home, and I have no effect on your damn life. What is your problem? That's how stupid our culture is. But when you got corporations pushing an ugly dude on a beer can that looks faggy, femmy, not even femmy, but just not desirable by many men or women. And Budweiser's going to make a bold statement and they lose billions of dollars, and then Target is doing it, and Harley and Indian motorcycles and North Face. Now you can go gay camping with your kids. 100 years ago, that never would have flown. Do you know what's ironic about our fucked up culture? Imagine, if you will, because it would never happen. I don't have that way about me. But say I was to become viral, say I was to become famous, I would have a clothing company and they wouldn't take long to start making shirts just like this. And they would market me with my a unique way, and people would buy it and people would wear it. You think about this. I'm not into Elvis Presley. I never was. That shows you how contrary I am to society. I was not into the Beatles. I was not into 57 Chevys. I see them go by. I'm like, that's in good shape. I'm not into 50s cars. But the Elvis crowd is massive. When he died, stuff that would end up in the trash can is suddenly worth big money because Elvis owned it. I got his underwear, his sock. If I died, people come in here and the powers that be, whether it's my son or whatever, would take what they want, give away, sell, or discard the rest. But if I was famous, this was the futon that Pacific first slept on when he bought his house. How much did you get it for? $100,000. How about a violin that was drenched in salt water? Went to Sotheby's for $2.7 million or something. But you know what that violin was? Wallace Hartley, the leader of the orchestra on the Titanic, serenading all the way to the bank. Not him, but whoever got the violin. Any other setting, a violin floating around in a shipwreck means nothing until you say Titanic, big money. If I became famous, there'd be people emulating me. Look at Abercrombie and Fitch, FUBU, and all the different wear. Everybody got to follow the brand. But I'm not popular. I'm not famous. I'm not the who's who, and I'm not the cat's meow. I'm just a suffering individual that goes to work and deals with shitty management, shitty coworkers, shitty society, shitty drivers, and shitty politicians that are continually affecting mine and your bottom line of take-home pay. Go to the grocery store, $75 for 2 little plastic bags of shit. And people want to get twisted up over me. Tell me how my way is hurting society around. Do you see me out there walking around like Barney? Hey, kids, we all need to get along. No, I'm not Pee Wee Herman. I mean, some of this video is about context, man. You don't like my style? Keep it moving. But if you do, I don't care if you got a hot trophy wife. I don't care if the man's a grown man and he's macho as hell and he's like, damn, I like my wife, but that guy, I like his look. That's hot. So what? You know why kids join gangs? Do you know why people join cults? Because of acceptance. Do you know that most American men and women are in chains? You got men that run in certain circles and you drop the gay word, the other men will be like, what the fuck? There was a guy in a former workplace in Colorado. He showed up at work one day on Halloween in a dress, shaved the back of his legs, wore high heels, and I said, wow, okay, what's that? It was a fucking bet, man. But every time I saw him, he would always talk about the gays. And when he was in the service and he went to Thailand, and one of his friends accidentally hooked up with a ladyboy, found out it had a dick, and threw the ladyboy out the window. Okay, first of all, that was wrong. It's one thing to realize you made a mistake and say, hey, dude, I didn't know you. I'm out of here. Well, now he's got a law problem. Goes running out the building. The guy falls on the ground. The police see it, chase the guy, but they got in the military shuttle to the ship. And of course, the Thailand people do nothing. But he always talked about David Bowie. He said, well, he was into lady boys. I said, how do you know that? He had a Amani or whatever, the model wife that he had. I've looked at some lady boys. They're fucking beautiful, except for down here. From here up, you get on there and look at some of these Asian lady boys. They got tits, nipples, areolas. You would never know they're a guy. And I know people personally that went to them and enjoyed them and said, that lady boy treated me better than a woman would in this country. Is it wrong in God's eyes? Of course it freaking is. But nobody talks about the wrong that pushes us or people in that direction. No church talks about it. You're going through the desert on a horse with no name. You're thirsty as all get out. Then you come across an assembly in the middle of the desert and you want water. And you step down and people say, why are you half naked on your horse? We don't allow that in our group. I just need some water. And churches fixate on masturbation and porn. Somebody got on my site, Pacific's going to masturbate himself, silly. I still haven't. Masturbation is awesome. It's the safest form of sex. You can rub one out. You didn't bond with somebody. And I don't care what anybody says. Better to do that than run around and do hokey pokey with everybody out there and catch diseases and bond with somebody, hurt somebody's feelings, and then have the wrath of God and all the guilt and condemnation that comes from that. Sexual immorality is defined by Jesus as a thought. So guess what, guys? We're all done right there. So now we're going to suddenly pretend that we're sexually moral when we never were. And it doesn't work. I don't care how many men retreats and how many groups you go to and how many do-it-yourself Christian books you read where those guys are sitting in nice, comfortable snow globe homes telling you how to stop masturbating and lusting while they're cashing into the bank with their materialistic narcissism. Please, I'm done with it. I will give an account before God, and it ain't going to be a pretty day. I look at myself, I'll be lucky if I get a C or a D. I don't deceive myself into thinking I'm all that. I'm fucked up just as much as anybody else. I want the approval of people. I want to be liked. So if a man in a nightclub is sitting there with a hot wife and you look at her, or a girlfriend, and you look at them drinking and talking to their girlfriends and it's all flake and fluff, what does that guy really have? You can grab her tits once in a while, but what does he have with that? Nothing. I've talked to men and women. St. Patrick's Day, I came in and I had forgot that's like the busiest day of the year for Green Beer Club. And I don't drink. And there was a guy that came right up to me and goes, oh my gosh, how are you? Threw his arms around me and kissed me on the cheek. I mean, that took me by surprise, but I didn't react what I would have done years ago. Like, dude, what the fuck? He came up to me the next day and he says, I really apologize. I said, dude, it's all good. Why can't a man kiss me on the cheek? They do it in Europe. Nobody says that's gay. Why can't I hold hands with a Filipino in Hong Kong who's with a beautiful girl? This happened a lot. And if I hadn't read in Philippine Culture Shock, I would have thought, yeah, there's sometimes I've seen men that I like and I have a bond with and I wouldn't mind holding their hand. That touch feels good. Do I want all that other shit with them? No. They talk about bromance and stuff. I'm not talking about that. Go ahead and put me in a box. I'll bust out of it. If you think I walk around and get a hard on because I see some man out there, no. I'm honest to admit that some people are works of art, male or female. And I admit there's some men that have a chest and long hair. They're beautiful and they're attractive. Do I want to marry them? Do I want to date them? Maybe if I was in Europe and I was feeling it, it might be fun to go to a bistro, hold hands, or roll around in bed just because it's wild and passionate and different. But stay in that? No. And how did I get there to even accept that? Look at women in this culture. They're nasty. I watched a video. A woman was in her Mercedes and a Chevy Silverado pulled up and got a little too close to her. And instead of being mature about it and sliding out the passenger side and or pulling her car somewhere else, she slams the door into the side of the truck. You need to move your truck. And the guy just sits in there and looks at her like, no, I don't. She gets out. She throws her beverage out the sunroof at his windshield. Most guys at that point would have gotten out of the truck and tore her up. He continued to sit in there. She goes in her trunk, grabs a can of spray paint and spray paints down the side, slams a shopping cart in the back, slams a shopping cart in the front. And I wrote, either this is a staged event or this woman is like so many American women that's mental. She could have got out the passenger side. She could have moved her car, but instead she's got to make some point and show off. She wasn't bad looking, but you know what the biggest revelation to me was is when I've been with some woman and I was shocked that they smelled bad. You know, when you look at pictures, you forget there's odors and stuff. It is harder to be with some of the women in our culture than it would be to just be in a steam room and have a man massage you and admire your body and you move on. Work is so laborious with a woman. And they let that pit hair and stubble grow. They let their breath reek and they eat vinegar and smelly foods. And they got their hair in a wadded up bun. And you're just like, wow, I went all crazy over this. That ain't freedom, man. Androgynous, shirtless males. Was it Shakespeare that said, to thine own self be true? I am true to myself. I make no apologies for it. Now, everybody's different, but I think he's good looking. How would he be treated by most women in this culture? That's not a kid, by the way, that's an adult. Most of these are European men. Now, that I'm not into, that looks truly the definition of flaming gay. I like a man who's comfortable in his skin. I can't remember if this is Andrei Pajak, but he's a very attractive male. Has feminine and yet masculine features all rolled into one. This one's got a little hair, but I like the hair. Androgynous. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. That's a good looking guy. You look at a lot of women, and they might wear a slutty, teasy shirt and stuff, but guess what? Most of them, they have so many personality disorders and so much problem. And I have seen men in the steam bath and out there. Men who've been bold enough to tell me, look, I'm not gay, but I admit you kind of turned me on. And I've shook their hand. I said, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. That flatters me. Why do you think men go up and down the street and rev their car? I'm out here mowing my lawn with my back to them or picking weeds or something. And they got to slow down and go, bam, bam, bam. Why do they want me to notice them? Why? Have you ever asked that? Why are you trying to impress me? I don't care. Anybody can push an accelerator pedal. Anybody. That's not a skill set. The older I get, I long for experience, expression, intimacy. Now, see, somebody like this, that doesn't do anything for me. That's a sissy boy, and I don't like it. I also like androgynous females, flat chested women with hard little nipples. I think that's awesome. I'd like to have a girlfriend that's flat chested, say, take off your shirt with me, and we walk through the woods, and I don't care if people come up and see us. I'm not like everybody else, and I don't want to be like anybody else, and I won't apologize for who I am. If I do so, I'm faking it until I make it, and I'm not going to do it. There's a difference between men that are struggling and they're honest and people that are playing a game. And I don't believe I play games. I just be who I am. Y'all remember Seinfeld, when Seinfeld would give a hug and it's this awkward, almost no touch thing. And this is a man. But I think that's a very erotic pose. The nipple showing, clean underarm. I like expression. I consider it art. Unfortunately, you're branded for saying just that. It's automatically assumed that you're gay. It's automatically assumed a lot of things. And all that does is brand and scar people. My issue with transgender, now these are two interesting men. I like that. I like that they're touching each other. We live in a world that likes to put everything in a neat little box. And it can't be done because not everything is in a nice, neat little box. Everybody's an individual. Like Baskin Robbins, some of us have 31 flavors. This is Andrei Pajek. I think I don't know if he's Eastern European, but that's a good looking guy. And excuse me. And I mean what I say. I want a relationship with a woman. But just to have that simple thing is becoming an impossibility. Women are no longer simple anymore. They're complicated. They're messy. They're demanding. They're draining emotionally and everything. And that 1 minute of sex you have with that woman, sometimes once you've done it, you don't want to go back for seconds. I think that's a good looking guy. Long hair, nice chest. And for me to say that, and I think women are good looking. I think that they're absolutely good looking. But they come with a lot more problems. I thank you for listening. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I tell people, as far as Christianity is concerned, you must form your own convictions and you must listen to the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit tells you not to listen to me, then you better obey. Now, how's that for a cult leader? I'm not a very good one, am I? If God is telling you to get away from me, then you must do what he says. Me personally, I don't believe God would tell you that. I believe you're exposed with me to real talk. And there's straight men that watch me that don't agree with everything I say, but they know the heart of what I'm saying and they don't run. They know I'm not looking at them going, "Hey, you want to play with penises together?" You people make assumptions because that's the way they might be. I'm just me. And you listen to me because you don't find this anywhere else. I'm not a superstar. I'm not an eloquent speaker. I am articulate. I don't have a script. And you're here because it hits a chord with you. That's awesome. There's a lot of men that have been on my channel that are attracted to me. That's awesome. There's a lot of men on the channel that are attracted to what I say. That's awesome. There's men that have come and stumbled onto my channel that thought they were all alone in their problems. And when they heard me, they thought, my gosh, somebody's finally saying this. That's awesome. There's male friends I call that don't have a gay streak in them. They're into women. They know who I am and they accept me and they value my insight. That's awesome. And they let me be. How come women are less likely to let us be who we are? Why is that? That ought to be a video all by itself. You notice women can wear shitty clothing, torn up, ripped up shit. It's not even pretty. And guys will never comment on that outfit, but how much skin shows determines their net worth. Me, I do something like this. Oh my God, what is he doing? Have you seen the way women dress? They dress worse than I do, and they don't even make it look good. But because you saw part of a nipple or part of a side boob, it's okay. Fashion disasters dominate white culture in America. Ross, Target clothing, Caprice. I mean, talk about the ugliest ass pants I've ever seen. Waiting for a flood. Only women can get away with wearing shitty, unappealing, unflattering outfits. Let's chop up your hair. Let's dye it blonde with all the brown bleeding through and the dark eyebrows. Can't accept your hair color. Why do we want to get involved with you? And now Thailand's doing it, dyeing their hair white, blonde, green. They don't want to be left behind. And now you got millions of Thai women going like this. I want a man who's faithful and honest and doesn't cheat. And you got 5,000 followers and hearts, and you put a heart after everybody that gives you a compliment. You're full of shit, lady. You're an attention fucking whore. Why don't you just get on there and say, look, I'm not looking for anything serious. I just like to put myself out there because I like the likes. I can accept that. I've had women send me friend requests. They're not looking for a man. They just said, I thought you liked my pictures. I said, thanks. Good eye candy. I had one that told me, I love yours. And we just thumbs up each other's pictures. She goes, I like the fact you're a guy and you go so sexy. I know you're not gay because you thumbs up and heart all my pictures. That, we can deal with that. But these women that have this veiled, I want a godly man, posting 10,000 selfies that are borderline porn. I love all the women that say, are you gay? How come you can do this and I'm not allowed to? Because you like things to fit in a box. That's why. Keep it real, folks. More people are attracted to genuineness than plastique. Of course, in America, plastic wins the day. But if you want to have deeper conversation, intimate conversations, if you want to have a man of understanding, come to this channel. Because some of us men want some feeling and some care, and we're not getting it. Stay tuned. It always gets interesting. Be yourself, damn it. To hell with what other people think.